Hi guys, this is Cory and welcome to CNA Films and Animation. Well, yesterday I gave you guys my top 10 favorite films of 2012, and today I'm going to give you guys my top 10 least favorite films of 2012. Like I said in the last video, 2012 was a great year for film. You know, there's way more good films than there were bad. But that doesn't mean that there weren't bad movies out there, because there was a good handful. So today I'm going to share with you some of my least favorite films, and I do have some honorable mentions to get through. Now mind you that I haven't seen every movie. There might be a worse movie out there than some of the ones that I've chosen, but these are the ones that I have seen, and these are the ones that, you know, either I felt were bad, disappointing, disgusting, and just all around, bad experiences. So, there might be some on here that you may like. If you like it, I'm glad you do. For me, it's just a movie that I couldn't stand. So, with that, I'll start with an honorable mention. My first honorable mention is Joyful Noise. Now, this film was something that I was kind of expecting. It came out in January, and for a January release, I wasn't expecting anything. And I pretty much got nothing. I rented it from Redbox for free, and it was bad, but it was kind of slightly enjoyable bad. Not enough for me to say that I liked it, because I didn't, but it was one of those films that, there are worse movies out there. I was expecting nothing, and like I said, I got nothing. So, big surprise, nothing. But yeah, no, it's not a good film, but it's one that I knew what to expect. Next film that's on my list is Paranormal Activity 4. Now, this film, just kind of like Joyful Noise, I wasn't expecting anything, really. The last film really irritated the living hell out of me, especially with the ending. So, I was expecting complete garbage with this one. I got garbage, but I wasn't complete garbage. The relationship between the girl and her boyfriend, it was entertaining enough. That kept my interest fairly well. But everything else really fell flat. Wasn't a horrible movie, but it just wasn't good. It wasn't the first two Paranormal Activity movies. And at this point, I'm kind of done with the series. I know they're going to make a fifth one. I will probably see it, but I'm just kind of mentally done with it. So, my next pick is ATM. Now, this film was one that I knew was going to be bad. It had nobody really in it. Josh Peck was like the big name in it that I recognized. And, yeah, this movie was bad. There's no hiding it. But it was horrible, but it didn't piss me off or anything. It was just there. Next honorable mention that I have is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Now, I know that some people really enjoyed this movie. Some people, like me, did not. I just could not get into it at all. The premise itself sounded like something that I would really enjoy. I do enjoy movies that are kind of weird, titles like that, Terror. I've enjoyed those movies. Machete was a good one. But this one, it wasn't good. I didn't like it. I thought it took itself way too seriously. Had it been a little more campier, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But, as it just was one of those movies that was too special effectsy. I especially hated the train scene near the end, with on the bridge and all that. That was just... I really didn't like that scene, and that helped solidify that it was one of my least favorite movies of the year. The last honorable mention that I have is one that I was hoping would be good, but ultimately it disappointed me, and that was American Reunion. Now, let me tell you how I feel about the American Pie movies. I absolutely love the first movie. It's one of those movies that I feel is one of the best coming-of-age movies, one of the best teen sex comedies. You know, it hit every right mark, had enough heart. It had enough heart in it to make me really enjoy it. So the second and third one I thought were funny, but nowhere near as good as the first one. And as I've gotten older, I've actually liked the second and third one even less. And so, you know, this fourth one came along. I was hoping I'd like it, but it just didn't satisfy me. The only good thing that I can say about it is that Eugene Levy was funny as hell, and, you know, as he always is. So, you know, other than that, it just was a big disappointment. So, now on to my top 10 least favorite movies of 2012. The first film, my number 10, is one that I absolutely knew I was not going to like, but I saw it anyway just to, you know, pretty much just to have on a bottom list, because I knew I wasn't going to like it, and that was Project X. Now this film, I didn't completely hate it like I thought I would, but by no means did I like it. You know, it was one of those movies that I put on, I rented it, I put it on, I'm just like, moving images. Yeah, that's about it. You know, it really didn't do anything for me. I can see where some people might enjoy it, but for me it just was kind of garbage. So, my number 9 choice was one that I was hoping would be good, but, you know, it was just a complete cash grab, and it was really not that enjoyable. That's Age Continental Drift. This is the 4th movie in the series. I absolutely love the first movie. Second and third were okay. I mean, they're nowhere near as good as the first one. But, you know, the second and third I could watch and still enjoy. This one, however, I liked the least. And there's many different reasons why. You know, mainly because it just wasn't funny and it wasn't very creative. So, ultimately, I just did not enjoy this film. My number 8 is one that I would say is not a bad movie, but it's one that left a bad taste in my mouth since I left the theater, and that is Man on a Ledge. Now, this had Sam Worthington. You know, he wasn't bad. I think Katherine Heigl was in it. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. But I call this movie mediocre the movie. Everything about it was just very mediocre. Nothing really blew me away with it. And, you know, it just was one of those movies that I was hoping might be good, but, you know, I knew it wouldn't be. And ultimately, I just really hated it the more and more I thought about it. My number 7 is one that I also wanted to really like, but ultimately I just couldn't get myself to like it, and that was 1,000 Words. I personally really enjoy Eddie Murphy. I think he's one of the funniest comedians out there. However, his last the last 10 years or so have not been good to Eddie Murphy. He came close with Tower Heist, but Tower Heist ultimately just wasn't that good of a movie. So, you know, ultimately, I want the old Eddie Murphy back. You know, I want another Coming to America or Trading Places. Or even Bowfinger. I take that. You know, something that's actually funny with Eddie Murphy. But, you know, the way things are going, it's just not going to happen. My number 6 is The Devil Inside. This movie kicked off the movie year last year, and man, was this a bad movie. You know, nothing was scary about it. I think there was like maybe one cool scene in the entire thing, but ultimately it just was a complete letdown. I mean, The ending completely sucked, by the way. I'm sure you've heard that from everyone, and it truly did suck. I mean, it was one of the worst movie endings ever. Number 5 is one that I know I'm going to get a lot of. I know that this one, my number 5 is going to be one that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on. I know there are a lot of people that really like this movie. If you did, I am so glad you did, but for me, it just, for some reason, maybe it was the time I watched it, maybe it was just my mood at the time I saw it, maybe I just didn't get it, I don't know, but I did not like this movie, and that was Goon. Sean William Scott, he was okay in the film, but, you know, I didn't care for his character. I didn't, you know, nothing was funny to me. It seemed to be more drama, and it just, I really didn't have a good time with it. So, really, I was watching it and I was getting irritated because I'm just like, when's this going to get funny? When's this going to get good? And, you know, it just was kind of violence to be violence, I thought. Maybe I'm completely wrong. If you think I'm wrong, you know, post your opinion in the comments. I mean, seriously, I may need to watch it again. I don't know. But as it stands right now, I just did not like this movie, and it's my number 5. My number 4 pick was one that had some mediocre reviews, and for the most part, I will admit I was laughing pretty hard in the theater, but as I thought about it more and more, as time went on, as, you know, all this came together, it left a bad taste in my mouth for some reason. I can't put my finger on it, but for some reason I just did not like this movie, and that was The Three Stooges. I'm a big Farrelly Brothers fan. I really liked Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary is one of my all-time favorite comedies, and I even liked a little bit of their later stuff, like Shallow Hal I liked, as well as Stuck on You. And, you know, Hall Pass had its moments, but for the most part I didn't like that one. But, you know, this one disappointed me. And, you know, while I did laugh, it was very empty laughs. I cannot think of a single moment in the film that I would say was actually funny. And, you know, maybe it's just because it's a generation gap. You know, it's slapstick. I do laugh at slapstick, but, you know, it's 2012. Slapstick hasn't really been funny for several years, so I don't know. It just wasn't a good film to me. My number 3 through 1, I hate all the same amount, but for the sake of this review, I put them in a list. Now, granted, some of these are truly awful. Some of these, I'm sure people enjoyed. If you enjoyed them, I'm glad you did. But, you know, for me, these movies were the ones that I hated watching, pissed me off, and ultimately disgusted me in one way or another. So, here they are. My number 3 pick is Piranha 3DD. Now, a lot of people have this at their number 1, and, you know, that's fine. You know, I knew it was going to be bad. I enjoyed for the first Piranha, and that's probably why this is my number 3. But I did not enjoy this one at all. I cannot think of a redeeming quality from this film. You know, it was bloody to be bloody. It wasn't funny. David Hasselhoff was just there. You know, he was kind of a jerk in the film, and I didn't like anything about it. But there was 2 other films that I thought were even worse than Piranha DD. Now, granted, these 2 films were ones that I know are going to have their fans. But just for me, they did nothing for me. My number 2 pick, I know is going to have its fans. I know it's one that, you know, it's an acquired taste, and, you know, it's one that I know is going to be, arguable, because, you know, it's let me just get to it. It's Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie, based off of a TV show. You know, it's going to have its fans, sure. It's going to, you know, it has its own brand of humor, but for me, this movie was disgusting. It was vile. It was completely, you know, unnecessary. It wasn't funny at all. And I just did not see what the appeal was. Now, you know, I know that there are fans of the show. You know, if you're a fan of the show, you know, I'm sure you enjoyed the movie, but for me, it just was not for me. So, you know, that film really irritated me, but not as much as my number one. My number one choice is by far my least favorite movie of the year. It was one that I hated every second watching, and it ultimately really just pissed me off the most. And this film was That's My Boy, the Adam Sandler movie with Andy Samberg. Now, this movie was one that, you know, after Jack and Jill, I was hoping that Sandler might be good, but I was not really looking forward to seeing this. And, you know, I found this movie to be, you know, vile, disgusting. It was foul-mouthed just to be foul-mouthed. It was, you know, just all around unenjoyable. And also, the biggest part that really irritated me was that it was very mean-spirited. So ultimately, I just absolutely hated this movie. I will never watch it again. You know, not even to see if I could find anything to enjoy it. I just cannot see myself watching this ever again. I completely hated it, and, you know, that's all I really have to say. So tell me, guys, what were some of the worst movies that you saw this year? What was the one movie that just pissed you off the most? The one that, you know, you absolutely hated every second of? Comment below and let me know. If you like this video, be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm Cory, and I'll see you guys in the next one.